Hey, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I got to wrap up December. I know that you guys are ready for the best of videos, but I'm a bit of a completist and I just got to do this first. So today I'm filming my final reads of December, and tomorrow I will film my best of. I haven't even looked yet. I have no idea. I mean, I have a couple ideas, but anyway. I don't need to ramble too much because I think I have 9 books in this stack, and I like to keep my videos shorter, so we'll see how this goes. But diving right in, I finished this one early in the month. I had read it at the end of November, and it is just fabulous. It's very, oopsie, I'm losing my books. It's very simply written, very straightforward, but just the fact that this man, Clint Hill, had personal experience with the presidencies of Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, and Ford is fabulous enough within itself. And he really tries to keep his personal thoughts of these men to himself to some extent, but just give you, he does a really good job of telling you the impactful moments of the presidency and a few little personal anecdotes to really give this a great flair, but to keep that tight timeline. I mean, this is a very small book to cover that much territory. And the Kennedy section, the assassination, is just tore me up. You know, I've seen the video clips and read about it before, but the firsthand experience of this man was just wow. So this is a great read, highly recommend. And then I rescued The Enchanted by Renee Denfeld from the Tower of Doom, and I'm so glad I did. This book really worked for me. It's a little bit of magical realism, but she works it in with this idea of you're in this man's head, a man on death row, and so it is and it isn't magical realism in my opinion, but it just brings this flavor to the book that I think it wouldn't have otherwise. And I don't want to, you know, spend too much time talking about it right now, but I read these like back to back, and let me tell you, this was a brilliant reading experience for me because the layers of thought dealing with justice and mercy and grace are so profound in these books, and the connections between them, and they really have gotten me thinking. Really good books. And then I finished Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, and this book, well, let me just tell you a few things. I mean, this is Henry VIII going from wife 1 to wife 2 in a nutshell, from the perspective of Cromwell. So I think this book would benefit from having a more intimate knowledge of this period in time and the people, the main leaders during the time. Growing up in the States, this is not a time period that we get much of in our history books. A couple paragraphs and moving on. So yes, I knew a little bit about it from other novels that I'd read. I probably should read, you know, more of a straight biography just to get a better feel for it. So anyway, what I'm saying is Hilary Mantel drops you into the story and assumes that you can figure things out, and that's fine. It just makes it harder. So the moments in time when you are when I was in Thomas Cromwell's head with his thoughts were just gorgeous. I cannot tell you how gorgeous the writing was. Really amazing writing. The moments when I was watching the political machinations were a little bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. That's not something that I enjoy anyway. So I'm more not appreciative, but I'm more pulled into the religious politics, which there was less of in this one, in my opinion. So yeah. So it was a mixed bag for me. The writing is brilliant on a sentence level. It's just paragraph level. It's just gorgeous. The structure of it assumes your knowledge. And so, yeah. So when you're reading it, you just have to either commit to doing research nonstop the whole time, or just let it go and get through the story and enjoy it as it comes. So there you go. I'm just gonna stop now because I'm rambling. These next 4 I'm not going to talk about much because I vlogged them in Honduras, so I have more thoughts in those vlogs if you're interested. But just briefly, The Artificial Girl by Irmgard Kunz. I'm so sorry, Britta. Please correct me. This was fabulous. I enjoyed it so much. Just a delightful read. The protagonist in here is Doris, and let me tell you, she is something else entirely. Girl is sassy and spicy. This is set in Germany. I think it was between wars. I wasn't even paying attention to anything, obviously, but she was just such a strong figure and so fun to read. I just really, really enjoyed listening to her voice. And then Praise Song for Butterflies by Bernice L. McFadden. This was my first Bernice L. McFadden. I really appreciated the topic, which is basically parents but giving their child into the sex trade in the modern time frame. I mean, this was in like the 80s or 90s. I'm obviously horrible with dates, but yeah. So just the fact that this went on, you know, she was given to a religious shrine. It was terrible. The writing style was very simplistic, and she brushed over the, you know, horrific moments. So it's not voyeuristic in that respect. I mean, the things happen and you know they happened, but I felt like the problem here, well, the other thing I really, really appreciated was the writing style. She really has a sense of describing the scene and the setting where you get a nice feel for it, like instantaneously and beautifully, like very literary with that. So I really enjoyed that. She reminded me of Mary Stuart, the way Mary Stuart can set her mysteries in a travel situation. So like that, I enjoyed that, engage with it. Her plot with her characters, I feel like she forced it and things just happened because she wanted them to, which is not something I often notice in a story. So yeah, anyway, there's that one. Then I read John Steinbeck, The Log from the Sea of Cortez. This one was published in 1941, and I read it for Mel's Gone with the Book, where you read the 1900 to 1950s. So yeah, this really was a great snapshot in time, a man's thoughts on the times that he was in, just in an everyday for him setting, which is what I appreciated about Travels with Charlie as well, his other nonfiction. So this is just Steinbeck and his best buddy, Dr. Ricketts, who's a biologist, and some other local fishermen that they hired to go on a trip down the coast of California and up into the Bay of California on the top tip part of Mexico there. And they were collecting specimens. So this is dated. There are things that happen and speech patterns that aren't quite PC, but just, you know, you get a lot of Steinbeck and Steinbeck's philosophy and truisms and where he got some of his ideas and thoughts. So I really thoroughly enjoyed this. My dad was a commercial fisherman and, you know, naturalist on his own, I would say, and it just really reminded me of him a great deal. My dad was also of a period with Steinbeck, so there's that. And then I finished In the Woods by Tana French. This one is, you know, the Dublin Murder Squad. It started out a little slow, and then it got super interesting with the spiritualists, with the druids, that idea and concept, and this mystery, this murder mystery from the guy's childhood layered onto this modern murder mystery. And I was there for all of it, and there was, you know, a relationship developing, and then the second half just fell apart for me. You know, that whole stick the landing thing. The girl came off that pommel horse, fell on her tail, and didn't even try to get up. I'm just sorry. So it really, the ending on 3 different levels, and so I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to read it. I didn't appreciate the way she wrapped up any of her stories. And I have the likeness on my shelf, and I was totally going to unhaul it. But several people have told me that that one's really good, so I'm going to give it a chance. And then I finished The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. I was listening to this on audiobook, read by Tom Hanks, and oh my goodness, was it ever delightful. This is a story basically about 2 siblings in this Dutch house and how the house affects them, and there just are thoughts on family and time and place just gently wrapped up into the story. It's not a story where, you know, major things happen and major things tie up at the end. It's just gentle. And, you know, I've said a lot recently that I don't like family sagas. And that's not true that I don't like family sagas. I don't like family drama where people are, you know, self-absorbed and doing stupid things because they can't see beyond themselves. This is not that. This is so, wow, this book was beautiful. And I don't know, like, if I'd physically read it, if I would have loved it as much. Tom Hanks just worked magic with those words. And then finally, I finished Underland by Robert McFarland. And I was expecting to absolutely love this book. You know, I love nature writing, and this one is a really important read, and I was getting along with it really well in the first half, and then the second half, I'm not gonna lie, I was just incredibly bored. I don't know if snowscapes don't do it for me because I'm a Florida girl. It was very, negative's not the right word, but, you know, dark times ahead with the environment, which I totally agree with that, but it just wore on me. So about the time he goes into that cave where they almost get stuck, and that was super claustrophobic, I just, from there on, I was just like ready for it to be finished. So I think I'm in the minority here, but yeah, I'm not knocking the book at all. I think that it's a great book and an important book. I just didn't love it. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, 15 minutes. Gosh, I did well. So thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon with all those favorites. So talk to you then. Bye.